I love our region so much. That's why I brought my family back here. It's not hard for me to talk about the great things that we have going on in this region. Even with some of the things that I might not agree with, we have great things happening right now in our region. We just got named, Ohio just got named #1 state to do business in. Ready's a big part of that. I'm meeting with them weekly and talking with them all the time. Like, I'm a part of that now. I love it so much.
Yeah.
I love our region.
We are joined now by Kate Jansen, who is the Director of Brand Strategy for CincinnatiExperience.com, a website we were telling you about in the last segment in terms of branding this area, letting people know about everything that's going on here, trying to attract as much attention as we can. You're kind of like a megaphone for the city.
It's true. I mean, you know, Cincinnati Experience was put together, we're going on 12 years now, to really amplify the great stories that are going on in our region. So much like you're doing with this program, we do it on a daily basis with stories about the businesses in town, stories about the great art scene, stories about our food scene, stories about everything good going on in our town. So we started as an initiative built by the business leaders in Greater Cincinnati. So the Cincinnati Chamber, Ready Cincinnati, Visit Cincy, Meet
Everybody
NKY.
with like an interest in those stories getting out there.
Right, and there's lots of crossover, as you showed in the segment before this, in the work we do, and we work closely together. Our idea is really, for Cincinnati Experience, we tell that story, and we get the great stories out about the Cincinnati region to everyone who will listen. So that we can set the table for some of the work that all the other folks are doing.
Yeah, I mean, you want to get Cincinnati featured in national stories. You guys also do stuff with, I think the word is amplifiers on the website. I mean, that's influencers, right?
We do. I mean, it's a mix of things, folks, to be honest with you, Jack. We do have influencers that we work with, but we also work straight with social media and some partners that we work with to amplify either the stories that are already out there or to build on stories that we see that maybe don't have the legs through other sources of media.
Yeah.
And that's part of what Cincinnati Experience was brought about to do, to amplify the great stories that are out there about our region and get them out to folks. So we initially did that through earned media, and we got it out through, and we tried to connect to towns that we had direct flights to and tried to build those pieces up. We started as a blank slate, to be honest with you. I love to tell the story that I wasn't there yet, but when Cincinnati Experience started, we did a reputation study, and they came back and said, great news, you do not have a bad reputation.
Cool.
Bad news is you have no reputation.
There's none.
So,
is that harder to build from scratch versus trying to bounce back from maybe negative perceptions?
probably a mix.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you. But the truth of the matter is we just hit the ground running. And 3 years later, we did another reputation study, and we moved the needle in the business community, but not as much in the general audience community. So we started a website for Cincinnati Experience. We got on social media and started really spiderwebbing those stories out as much as we could, not just in one spot. After we did that, we started thinking about kind of how others were telling the stories in our region. And that's where Brand Cincy came from. We really worked with our board. There were folks that, there was a lot of talk, you know, bring us a slogan, bring us a logo. But if you look and do a little research on what the success rate has been for those, it's very small.
Right, because I mean, I can remember certain ones. What is it? Virginia's for lovers, Ohio, the heart of it all, and then cities do their own branding too. But you're saying that doesn't land as it doesn't play the heart as much. Yeah.
It's much harder to land, and I'll say this about that angle. What we decided was, there's so many varied stories coming out of our region, and there's so many ways. I'll push this back at you. How do you describe Cincinnati to folks?
Sure. Well, you're right. And there's the idea of, well, you got to check out the restaurants that we have here. Right. There's a fantastic arts scene. There's all sorts of cool festivals that happen here. You don't have any just one thing.
Yeah. And so that's where Brand Cincy came from, that we stepped back and said, what if we gave the most amazing resources we could to the businesses in the region, to the organizations in our region, to individuals in our region that are trying to tell the story of Cincinnati and help them with the best videos available, the best photos available, itineraries, talking points, making all those available to folks so that they can tell the story in their own way, but in a unified voice. And I love that phrase because I think that tells the story, whether it's visual or actually talking about it, that everybody's kind of talking in the same way, using the same resources, the best resources, so that we're telling a unified story.
You know, it's got to be such a game changer, the idea of Cincinnati and a regional presence on social media versus traditional outlets needing to buy ads. I mean, now being able to not only get your story in front, get the city's story in front of so many different eyeballs, but also being in the driver's seat for what that is. And you've got media experience going back a ways. What a game changer that is specifically for what you're doing.
Yeah, and I'll answer that in this way. I was lucky enough to come in at kind of the right time when Brand Cincy was starting, and I had this great mix of I'm a West Side Cincinnati guy, grew up here, lived in a couple different places, so I have an outside view of what others see about our region and what they say about our region. And when I came into Cincinnati Experience, I was able to bring a kind of unique flavor to that, and then push Brand Cincy. The build of Brand Cincy was a long haul.
Yeah.
It took over a year because of rights issues and getting the right shots at the right time.
Because there's got to be a lot of cooperation.
There's a lot, and but I was going out almost day one talking to businesses before we even had a website up to kind of explain what we were doing and get buy-in as early as we can. Not just from the Fortune 500s that we were already working with, but from some of the smaller organizations that were going to get a lot of value out of this. Yeah. We did build the original, a lot of the original work we did. We worked with some P&G folks. And the cover of our original YP guide has 4 P&Gers on the front of it. So when we built, say, for instance, these relocation guides, each one of them we've built out from discussions with those folks. So the YP group, the Young Professional Group, we got together, a group of them, and talked about what they wish they would have known before they moved here.
So yeah,
same with the international guide, same with this executive level guide, that we sat down and really had conversations about what they wish they knew, and then built these out from that.
Yeah, so we got these guides here. This is a relatively new thing coming out of Cincinnati Experience, where this is specifically geared toward executives. And I know we've got, here's some stuff. See Yourself in Cincy, which is, I like that name. These are handheld guides that if you've got people that are looking to potentially relocate here, you've got stuff that's specifically for executive types where, you know, if mom or dad has to maybe sell the family on the fact that we're moving someplace else, here's all the cool stuff that is waiting for us when we get there. And you said there's a young professionals version that I think we grabbed a couple of things from as well, which is another angle of marketing, right? The idea of getting those 20 and 30 somethings in here to highlight to them different things that they're going to be interested in.
Yeah, and I think you hit it right on the head. Our guides are looking at how they would see themselves in Cincinnati. We like to talk about that if you're coming here for an interview, say for a position, or you're thinking about relocating here for whatever reason, we want to help win the ride home, the flight home.
Yeah.
We want this to be in your hands so that as you're thinking about or talking about your family or trailing spouse or whatever it might be, that you are hitting on why you want to be here, but also how you envision yourself living here. There's going to be growth with that, which we can talk about down the line, but we really are trying to kind of expand what we do with Cincinnati Experience, and now through Brand Cincy to really hit on how we help folks envision themselves here in our region and hopefully staying and building roots here.
When it comes to, you know, the way the outside perception goes, are there times when maybe Cincinnati Experience is reacting to something that somebody else posted that may not be all that complimentary? I mean, I was having a conversation with some arts folks over the weekend, some photography people, and the Mapplethorpe exhibit came up. And I was bringing up the idea of, is there a little bit of cachet in having a little bit of controversy? It doesn't always have to be bright sunshine and smiling faces, right?
Well, I think that's usually the media's job to do.
Sure.
What we do at Cincinnati Experience is try to make sure that we are getting the positive stories out, not necessarily reactive to any negative stories. I will say that one of the good things that we're able to do is be reactive to great things that are happening and really become a source for that. I like to use the example, my favorite is the Super Bowl. We were able to be reactive to that and become kind of the place out in LA. We set up in the hotel and had all the information available to every reporter in the world about what Cincinnati was about, who we were, had big 513 signs, and brought folks in to have interviews on the constant while we were out there.
Boy, that's got to be such a refreshing thing for all those reporters out there who are looking for something different. Everybody's got the same B-roll footage at this point of the big ladle going into the pot with the Cincinnati chili, probably a shot or two of the bridges. Like the idea that you guys are in the know and you're out there and able to give them a whole smorgasbord of other things. They must have really, really enjoyed that.
They did, and Anastasia Milam, who we used to work together on Cincinnati Experience, she really knocked it out of the park when she was with us, setting that up and setting up several reactive pieces. When the Cincinnati Open, which is coming up, was thinking about leaving, we worked with a regional marketing group of experts and really got the word out that Cincy loves tennis and we wanted it to stay here. And I like to think that that's one of the reasons that it did stay here.
That was a huge decision.
It was huge. It was huge for, economically it was huge for us. I don't think they could have built out the same type of tournament moving it someplace else, and I think they realized it. But we did get feedback that those marketing efforts, those public relations efforts got to them, and they saw Cincy loves tennis all over the place, and that's a positive thing, right?
That's huge.
And that's the way that I look at the things that Cincinnati Experience can do. We do that on the daily basis, and we can be reactive, mostly to positive stories, to be honest with you. But we do that on a daily basis, and we'll continue to do that. We continue to grow.
Is it difficult because there are so many things going on here, whether you're talking about various sports-related things, various festivals and concerts, and is it difficult to sort of narrow down what you guys maybe want to focus on a given day, or are you happy to have such a fire hose blasting you in the face?
I think the latter. It's great, but we each have our lane too. Visit Cincy and Meet NKY are working on tourism. Ready is working on regional economic development. We grab some of their stories too and amplify those. But we also are doing some of the same work you're doing, whether we're working with some of the stories that are already placed here in town or looking at some other stories that have been placed through our partnership with Visit Cincy and Ready. So we do a mix of all of it. I can tell you I'm up bright and early, probably like you are, every day, looking through media, looking through what I can amplify each day. I don't know that I have a hard line of what fits, but when it feels right, it's right. If that makes sense.
For sure. And you get into a groove on that as time goes on, because you're getting feedback all the time.
Right.
We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll have more with Jay Jansen, the Director of Brand Strategy for Cincinnati Experience. We're selling Cincinnati as a brand. Welcome back to the Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley, joined by Jay Jansen, who is the Director of Brand Strategy for CincinnatiExperience.com. One of the things that has come out of that outfit is called BrandCincy.com, which is a tremendous free resource for people who live and work here to tell Cincinnati's story anyway. Take a look at some of this. So this is a video, Jay, that Brand Cincy has. There's no sound under the video itself. This is essentially B-roll, and you guys have this and a bunch of pictures that are all available for folks to use this on their own.
Right. I mean, the goal, Jack, was let's find the best of the best that we can find and put it out there for anybody who's trying to market our region. So these beautiful shots, we partnered with some folks locally that were doing some social media pieces that we loved and hired them to get some of these iconic shots of our region so that anybody can use them. So Zach, for instance, he turned out, he has great work already on social media, but we were able to bring him in and describe who we were, what we were looking to do, and he said, got it, and went out and did it.
Some of those shots in that video are absolutely gorgeous.
Beautiful. He does amazing work. We are actually getting ready to partner with him on neighborhoods. So we are going to
great.
start going through every neighborhood and doing pieces that will be on social media and on YouTube. And we will match it to the map that you showed earlier, so that folks will be able to interact with a map when they're thinking about looking here to relocate. Click on an area of town, a neighborhood in town, and get to that video and learn more about it. And we were out talking to folks in our region, to business folks, to individuals who had just moved here, and got the information straight from them that they said, oh, I wish I would have known, I wish I would have known more about this area of town or this area of town before I bought a house in this area. They weren't negative about where they were. They were positive about the things they didn't know about earlier. Yeah. So whether it's relocation guides, neighborhoods, we're really trying to welcome folks into our region through the relocation guides, and then connect them to the neighborhoods that they feel like their families or them as individuals will fit in with their lifestyle.
I was really taken when I saw the announcement about that brandcincy.com and going through it and seeing all these resources that are there totally for free to people. Just, you know, and it isn't even about being in a business or being in a nonprofit. If you like living here and you just want to post a cool picture about the Reds, or I mean, it's all free stuff for people to use. Brandcincy.com. I really think it's a tremendous resource.
Thanks, Jack. I mean, it like I said earlier, it was a lot of work to get it off the ground, and now that we have it running, it's a pretty well-oiled machine. Lots of partnerships. Starting with our advisory board and our funders, the Chamber, Ready Cincinnati, Visit Cincy, Meet NKY, and others, they really stepped up to the plate and said, we want this to be completely free for our region, because if everybody's able to tell the story the same way, we're going to have a unified voice telling that story, and it's going to be better for everybody in our region. We're going to raise everybody up that way.
Yeah, well, and this is the importance of branding, right?
Exactly. And so now that it's up and running, I'm able to go out and talk to other chambers. I'm able to go talk to marketing departments. I mean, I've been mildly surprised. A lot of HR folks are using it because we have resources there that helps them hire folks without having to do a bunch of extra legwork. It's there, download it, print it, and it's ready to go.
And then we get to have a say in the way that we're being described by other people.
Exactly. One thing I'll push back on in a very nice way. I have a brother that calls me almost weekly and asks me if I've sold Cincinnati yet. I don't like to say I'm out selling Cincinnati. I'm really out telling the stories about Cincinnati. So instead of sell, I tell, and I try to get the stories out, whether it's through Cincinnati Experience or whether it's through Brand Cincy, through our assets, to have the best of the best available for everybody, and building partnerships outside of that with the organizations that are using this. So I have a conversation every time I meet somebody, not only to tell them about Brand Cincy and Cincinnati Experience, but to also ask them if they have resources that they can make available to us and make available to everyone in the region to, again, let's keep raising this up so that everybody has the best of the best available.
Jay, your career path is really interesting. You're a local guy, right?
I am, yeah. I've lived outside of the region a couple times.
But you went to what, St. X?
I went to St. Xavier. I'm a bomber. What camera? Yeah, I've lived in Chicago right out of college, and then I lived in Madison for a while.
Yeah, I think your career path is interesting because you were doing stuff with CBS for a while, right? Media, like straight up actual ad sales, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you went from CBS then to PBS.
Well, it's not as strange as you think. I was right across the street for a long time. I like to tell people I grew up in PBS.
Yeah.
My father met my stepmother at Action Auction.
Oh, wow.
My dad was chairman of the board of WCET for a period. And he was in fundraising. He was in nonprofits as a part of the work he did outside of direct mail. So I was working the Action Auction when I was 6 and 8 years old. There are old programs, educational programs that they produced over at CET that I'm an extra in. I've been in PBS. I grew up in it. I came back to CET several times. I worked at WNKU here in town as a fundraiser. Moved to Wisconsin as a part of their PBS, Wisconsin PBS, which was great. And then moved into sales out of that, working with nonprofits.
Okay. I just think it's interesting. I think you had a really unique path in that, going from traditional network ad sales, now then in the nonprofit and development world there, and the way that then that fuels what you're doing here with Cincinnati Experience. That's not a normal like ad sort of path. You've got a unique perspective.
Right, and I think that's one of the reasons that I fit this position so well. I came back and I made the decision to bring my family back here with my wife, 20 plus years ago. We wanted to raise our kids here. We had family here. We wanted to be around that. But we also made a decision to stay long term. That was one of the best decisions that we made. My career path moved from here to here to here, and I end up at Cincinnati Experience, and it was probably the best move that I made throughout my career. I love our region so much. That's why I brought my family back here. It's not hard for me to talk about the great things that we have going on in this region. Even with some of the things that I might not agree with, we have great things happening right now in our region. We just got named, Ohio just got named #1 state to do business in. Ready's a big part of that. I'm meeting with them weekly and talking with them all the time. Like, I'm a part of that now. I love it so much. I love our region. And to be able to get Brand Cincy together with the help of so many folks around our region has been something that I didn't expect to happen in my career, and I am so gratified every day to work on it.
Is it difficult because what you're doing is such a megaphone, such a like a bat signal in the sky? Do you find yourself having to combat cynicism, like familiarity breeds contempt, and people that have been around for a long time, they think they've seen it all, and the level of cynicism can sometimes, I would imagine, be really frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, we're telling our stories to everyone who will hear it. That includes folks outside of our region, but it includes folks in our region. We want. It's hard sometimes for I'm a West Sider. That's long-rooted folks that have been in their houses for a long time, or bought the joke that this person bought their parents' house from them that they grew up in. It's hard sometimes to get past that cynicism, and so when I hear that, it can be in a backyard party at a grill out. I'll start trying to tell the stories of the positives that are going on and why we aren't talking about those, because there's great stories going on constantly. So whether it was when Film Cincinnati was working on Sundance, that was a great story. It was we didn't get it, but it was wonderful. We were talking about Cincinnati on not just a national basis, but an international basis at that point.
And other folks were talking about us.
100%. And with that in mind, we can talk about now the 3 chefs we have in town that were James Beard Award nominees. We have a great food scene. We have great parks. I mean, when I have folks send me notes, and I do almost weekly, about, hey, came to visit, just wanted to tell you this. It's always about, I didn't know about this. And that's what helps us at Cincinnati Experience and Brand Cincy continue to kind of push the envelope and find great things to talk about our region.
Do you have specific metrics for what you consider to be success on stuff? Because so much of this does feel like, working perception is reality, and there feels like such a qualitative element to it. Is that maybe the only gauge for success, or do you have some quantitative benchmarks that you go for?
So originally, Cincinnati Experience, we really did have a lot of quantitative data points that we were working off of. We've stepped back because a lot of that story placement has moved into Visit Cincy, Meet NKY, Ready, and I work with them on that and then kind of repurpose those stories. So it does become more qualitative. On the Brand Cincy side, we look at downloads, we look at what's being used. There's word of mouth, but there's also real numbers. We're edging towards 1,000 users right now. That doesn't sound like a lot. I like to use the number that we have over 450 organizations and companies using our Brand Cincy. That's big. That's what we want. That's the kind of numbers that we want to look at. So we look at downloads for that. We look at kind of eyeballs. We look at, we're doing a lot of work on the Cincy Experience website right now, the Cincinnati Experience website, to kind of look at how things are changing with search engines, because we want the search to come to us. We know it's been coming to us through some of our discussions when we built these relocation guides. They'd say, I got this information, but I don't remember from where, and we're the place that it's sitting at. So our goal moving forward is to work through not just what search engines are looking at, but honestly AI and
Sure.
what they're looking at. So
And that all gets influenced by outside stories and everything else.
Right. So we're in the midst of kind of working on new metrics for some of those pieces, to be honest with you, Jack.
Jay Jansen is the Director of Brand Strategy for Cincinnati Experience, telling the story of this region. Then there's also brandcincy.com, which is a bunch of tools for you to tell the story as well. Some tremendous resources, some really great stuff about singing the song of this city and letting other people hear it. Jay, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Jack.